I never imagined I would be the kind of man who would walk away from a 25-year marriage. If you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have told you I was lucky, blessed even, to have a wife like mine. We met at university when we were both just 20 years old. She had the kind of beauty that seemed effortless, the kind that made me stop in my tracks the first time I saw her across the student union. Her laugh carried across the room, warm and soft, and something inside me knew I had to speak to her. We started as friends. I remember those late nights in the library, sharing cheap coffee and talking about everything, our dreams, our fears, what we wanted out of life. She had this calming presence about her, like she understood the world in a way I didn't. I was the ambitious one, always talking about how I was going to build something big, make something of myself. She believed in me more than I believed in myself. That belief was like fuel. We fell in love slowly and all at once. Our first kiss was under a street lamp after a rainy night, the kind of kiss that made me feel like time had stopped. She became my person. We graduated, got jobs, and decided we didn't want to waste any time. We married at 26, surrounded by friends and family who told us we were perfect for each other. Life moved quickly after that. We bought a small house, the kind that always needed fixing, and we made it a home. She turned every corner into something warm and welcoming. We had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and I threw myself into my career. I worked long hours, travelled often, took every opportunity that came my way because I wanted to give my family a good life. She was my anchor through it all. When the kids were sick, she stayed up all night with them. When my job took me away, she held everything together. She was patient, steady, and she never complained. She gave up her full-time job because mine was demanding, and we agreed it made sense for her to focus on the children and the house. And for years, I thought we were happy. But somewhere in my late 40s, something shifted inside me. It's hard to describe. A restlessness, a heaviness that settled over me. The kids were teenagers. They didn't need us in the same way anymore. The house was quiet more often than not. My wife and I still cared for each other, but it felt like we had become partners in logistics, roommates sharing a schedule. We talked about bills, groceries, the children's plans, but not about us. I started to feel invisible. Not because of her, she was still the same loving, patient woman she had always been, but because of me. I didn't feel alive anymore. I'd look in the mirror and see a man going through the motions. That's when I met her, my colleague. She had been with the company for a couple of years, and we started working more closely on a project. She was 41, younger than me by more than a decade, but not so young that we didn't have things in common. She was funny, sharp, and she listened to me. At least, that's how it felt at the time. Our conversations started out harmless. We talked about work, about books, about movies we both liked. Then we started sharing more, how we felt about our lives, our disappointments, our dreams. She told me I was interesting, that I was funny. I hadn't heard those words in years. I started to look forward to seeing her every day. I'd check my phone constantly to see if she had messaged me. We started having coffee together before meetings, lingering a little too long afterward. I told myself it was just friendship. I was lying to myself. Soon we were taking trips together for work. I'd find excuses to sit next to her on the plane. At night, we'd go for dinner, just the 2 of us, and talk until the restaurant closed. I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. She made me feel young again, exciting again. I crossed a line I can never uncross. One night, on a trip, we kissed. I remember the rush of adrenaline, the guilt that hit me like a punch, and the way I still went back to her the next day. We started an affair. For months, I lived a double life. I'd come home and sit across from my wife at the dinner table, smiling, making small talk, while knowing I was betraying her in the worst possible way. She didn't suspect at first, or maybe she did, but didn't want to believe it. I told myself I was falling in love with my colleague, that maybe this was fate, Maybe I had met the person I was really meant to be with. Eventually, I convinced myself that leaving my wife was the right thing to do. For me, for everyone. I told myself she deserved someone who truly loved her, and I couldn't keep lying. The day I left, I felt almost euphoric. I packed a bag, sat my wife down, and told her everything. I told her I was leaving to be with someone else. The look on her face is something I will never forget. Shock, pain, a kind of quiet devastation that pierced me, but I pushed through it because I thought I was chasing happiness. I moved in with my colleague, believing this was the start of my new life, and for a while it felt that way. We laughed, we travelled, we lived spontaneously. I felt alive again, or at least I told myself I did. But over time, things began to change. Living with her wasn't like those exciting trips. She was messy in ways that got under my skin. She didn't have the calm, patient energy my wife had. She got frustrated quickly, snapped at me over small things. I started to miss the way my wife used to make me tea when I got home late, the way she'd sit next to me on the couch without saying a word, but still make me feel comforted. 2 years have passed since I left my wife, and I am not the man I thought I would be. My children barely speak to me. They are polite, distant, but I can feel their disappointment radiate through every short conversation. I can't use them as a bridge to my wife. They are protective of her, and I can't blame them. I lie awake at night thinking about what I have done. I traded a woman who stood by me through everything for excitement, for validation, for a fleeting sense of youth. And now, when I sit across from the woman I left everything for, I feel hollow. I want my wife back. I want the life we built together back. But I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if she would take me back if I begged her to. Part of me thinks, I don't deserve her forgiveness. I've learned some painful lessons. The grass isn't greener, it's just different grass, and sometimes it's full of weeds you couldn't see from a distance. I thought I needed excitement, but what I really needed was to find gratitude for the quiet, steady love I already had. To any man listening to this, I beg you, appreciate what you have. Don't let restlessness or boredom trick you into thinking your whole life needs to change. Talk to your wife. Tell her what you're feeling. Seek counseling. Take a trip together. Try something new together. But don't throw away a lifetime for something that may not last. I'm living with the consequences of my choices every day. I am heartbroken, but I am still hopeful. Hopeful that one day my wife will allow me to show her that I understand what I lost. Hopeful that my children will forgive me. Hopeful that I can become a better man than the one who walked out of our home 2 years ago. I don't know what the future holds, but I know this. I will never stop wishing I could go back to that day I left and choose differently.